Yep. Just a note, the notes are in numbers, so unless that wasn't clear, so start with 1 and then whoever's 2 and onward from there. Okay, could you play the video harmony? Yes. Thanks.
You can't understand. I've written enough poems about pain, about sickness, about being a human in a failing body to know it's not gonna work. And I'm sick of it. Sick of having to make my trauma into a haiku just to be almost forgiven for the sin of being sick, for the sin of reminding us of our inherent unpredictability, aka fragility, aka mortality. I refuse to feign my pain, act it out the few times I am relatively spared from it. I refuse to mime my misery to the world that humiliated me for being corporeal, for having a body, a material body that did not comply with the rules everyone tried to force on it day in, day out, and still does every day. I refuse to pantomime pain, flash my wounds like strippers flash their tits for those who inflict them upon me and all like me. I refuse to be the money shot for your next critically acclaimed pity porn, though it would be easy money. And yet I will, because we still need to understand what we don't go through, and there's no other way but to show it, it seems. But still, why must I strip down, put my most naked nakedness on full throttle exhibitionist display? Why must I bear my body's soul, stark skeleton strain, sorrowful soreness, stabbing pangs, stinging stiffness, perfunctory plague? Why must I always get on a stage just to prove to you this is real? For suffering sickness is not enough, I have to perform it for you too. Just how crumbling, ever falling, plainly fucked up this young body I live in is. How when told in acting class to imagine you're 90 years old, to feel that, really feel it in your bones, I smiled darkly to myself, for I knew I didn't have to do anything. I think the problem is that I look too good, put too much garnish on my rot, too much tinsel on my tumbling. But behind this blinding bioluminescence, behind this cloak, this curtain of iridescent incandescence, I am still wearing this heavy body. All the color and glitter misdirects, like a magician's hand in a magic trick. I make myself a kaleidoscope just to be less conspicuous, for I can't help but be seen, publicly spilling this quote-unquote invisible bleed. Sorry I'm late. I'm doing my best to keep this thing alive.
not been easy for Tallulah this quarter with absences and lateness. I have and will continue to be flexible. She needs to make turning in completed assignments on time more of a priority.
Tallulah, it was a delight to work with you in this class, even though your chronic lateness was a bit annoying. Get a watch. However, your final paper was so well written.
Tallulah, you are a creative and energetic presence in class, and your level of Spanish is clearly appropriate for Intermediate 1. The inconsistency of your attendance with late arrivals being a particular problem, and your work outside of class, however, presents some pretty grave obstacles to success in the course. In short, Tallulah, it's clear to me that you have the capacity to do well in this course, but a major shift in work habits needs to occur in order for you to earn a passing grade.
Tallulah, I must admit that this is a very difficult grade to assign. With some scores 87 to 88, and your general level of responses in class make it clear that you are capable of doing good work in Spanish at this level. But this numerous absence and the late arrivals at class 10 to 15 minutes virtually every day, expect for exam days.
I love the way your mind works and how committed you are to storytelling. That said, it's been hard getting a true sense of where you are as a student and where you should put your energy moving forward. As the semester continues, I want you to challenge yourself to be more present in class and to share more of yourself in the work. Be careful of excessive tardiness. It will impact your grade at the end of the semester. Currently, 4 extreme tardies equals 2 absences.
Tallulah, you faced some challenges in the second half of the semester that had nothing to do with this course, but that couldn't slow your momentum. And yet, you still found ways to shine. Regarding class participation, I excused the 3 absences that were caused by Olin's broken elevator, and I decided not to let the others affect your grade. I appreciated the fact that when you were there, you were 100% there, and it never failed to lift the room.
Tallulah, it's been wonderful to get to know you and your work this term, and excruciating to get a sense of the number of physical obstacles beyond your control that impede your work. I fervently hope the college can rapidly become a more adaptable environment for you, and you could be present as a vital member of the class.
Tallulah, I've been so impressed by the way that you have kept up with your work and have completed it so steadily during this incredibly challenging time. Though unfortunately I cannot give your participation grade due to your frequent absence, from the interactions we have both in meetings and via email, it is clear that had you been able to be in class, you would have added so much to our discussion. You think deeply about the readings and you write thoughtfully and sophisticatedly about both literature and yourself.
Tallulah, such a love for art and art making, such a curious mind and so hardworking. I wish you could attend the morning classes more, but I know you wish the same, and would be there if you could. You are missed when you are not in class. You add such a unique touch to the group, such a curious, fearless, and creative mind. Bravo.
Tallulah, just keep soldiering on. You're a true survivor. Thank you always for your passionate engagement and thoughtfulness.
The inconsistency of your attendance presents some pretty grave obstacles.
Again, one final plea. I wouldn't be surprised if I get hit in evaluations because I let you be late. It's not for me, it's for you and the other students. It's very distracting for them.
The initiative at this point has to come from you.
You've been late to every class.
Your chronic lateness was a bit annoying. Get a watch.
So I was asked to read this letter of recommendation that I wrote for Tallulah Whiteack when she applied for college. So here goes. Dear members of the admissions committee, with over 30 years of practicing pediatrics, I've had the privilege of watching many young children grow into very special teens and young adults. As a pediatric rheumatologist, I've had the opportunity to care for many who are less fortunate regarding health, though often driven in other ways well beyond others' expectations. Then there are those kids who seem to rise above the others, both in terms of my memories and my expectations. Tallulah Wojtak is one of those patients and one of those students. Thankfully, in pediatrics, virtually all our patients fall into categories that are wellness biased. Even as a rheumatologist, most of our patients can be managed with the well-known cookbook of anti-inflammatory or immune modulating agents. Tallulah, unfortunately, fit into neither of these groups. If it was just me struggling to manage her systemic disease, I would have thought I needed a refresher course or to hand in my sheriff's badge as a board-certified pediatric rheumatologist. But Tallulah was seen by doctors from Boston to New York to Philadelphia to Bethesda, and all agreed that she suffered with the most recalcitrant inflammatory disease that any of us had ever faced. So to think of Tallulah graduating with her senior high school class on time, or now after a well-deserved gap year, during which we were able to tweak her into a stronger version of herself, to be applying to college is a feat that none of us might have thought possible 3 years ago, maybe even 12 months ago. But this is not because of anything we did as physicians. Rather, it is a testament to perseverance and determination of a rather remarkable team. That's not to say there weren't days or weeks when tears were shed and I knew that her pain must have been intense, or hectic fevers spiked to 104 with a midterm looming on the horizon, or days with hands swollen like sausages, somehow nimbly created products of art, delicate, finely etched prints, flamboyant hooded masks, or even a Dr. Lazarus gift dragon complete with computer screen and stethoscope that still adorns my desk. Last spring, when I was fortunate enough to attend Beacon High School's Art Day, I was able to see Tallulah in her own element, the mastery of her creations on display for all to appreciate. As she took me on a tour of her school and her art, I nearly forgot what the arthritis had done to her joints, because in her element, she had gained confidence and strength that I knew could carry her through any obstacle that might otherwise try to stand in her way. She helped me to understand why I do what I do and the value of all those weeks and months that had been invested to arrive at this day. Remarkably, in recent months, Tallulah has been doing quite well. No, the disease has not been eradicated, just lulled into dormancy by Q6-month infusions of immune modulating agents and weekly self-administered injections of anti-inflammatories. Grateful that it all comes just in time as some lucky school is contemplating her application and her achievements. On first glance, as is often the case with rheumatic diseases, one might not recognize the consequences of a years-long battle with systemic onset juvenile idiopathic arthritis. Perhaps instead, the bleached platinum hair or the blue eyes or the portfolio will capture one's fancy. But don't get fooled into thinking that Tallulah be defined by her condition. For me, it's the lesson that no disease should define a person, rather that person defines for us how courage and grit overshadows all we do as physicians and as a society. Thanks for letting me read, Tallulah.
We are past time.